When most people think of World of Warcraft, their minds probably jump to epic raids, cutting edge endgame gear, and high level content. But turtles? Yeah, me neither. After stumbling upon a random Reddit post and thinking, this sounds way too good to be true, I decided to check it out. And fast forward over countless hours, and here we are. But now it's time to mix things up and try something slower. You see, on Turtle WoW server, there's a unique twist. Optional challenges that make the game slower and more immersive. So when I saw the slow and steady option, I knew it was calling my name. With this modifier, experience for mobs is halved, because clearly I thought leveling wasn't slow enough already. So I rolled a warrior, dove in, and got ready for the grind. But then came the tense, a feature from Turtle WoW's survival profession that grants rested XP, and it felt wrong. If the challenge is slow and steady, why should I skip the slow part by camping under a tent? It just didn't sit right. So back to the drawing board I went, scrapping my first attempt and building something even more ridiculous. So we added slow and steady, the 50% reduced experience from mobs, exhausted, so we got no rested XP. So it nullified the tens completely, and to add a little bit of extra spice, I thought I'd add my own challenge, no handouts. So I got no freebies from anybody, no bags, no gear, no shortcuts, no alt trading, nothing. Everything must be earned or bought at a fair market price. And with this, the slowest tank ever was born. Despite the uphill battle ahead, I was ready to embrace the grind. Levels 1 to 5 were spent in the Northshire Valley, mundane as always. Everyone's done it 100 times before. So I quickly moved to the High Elf starting zone, but not before stopping in Stormwind to pick up mining and engineering. Northshire was boring, but the High Elf zone? Absolutely stunning. All the custom content created by the Turtle WoW devs is amazing. The quests are great, and the rewards for a new toon are great too. If you're planning on rolling a new toon on Alliance, I highly recommend coming here to get your first few levels. Spending so much time here also really helped me boost my mining profession. There's copper nodes everywhere here, so now my bank was absolutely brimming with copper. And that was perfect for our engineering skills later on. So after tackling most of the quests, I hit level 10 and got my first slow and steady reward box. Got some fashion tokens, a shirt, and a really nice little pouch. But there was a few quests left and I couldn't just leave them unfinished. So I finished them up and they pushed me over to level 11, and then it was back to familiar territory for me. On my way out of Stormwind, I passed a group of the sweaty tent dwellers. I just tried to avoid eye contact and keep moving. We're not about that homeless tent life anymore. With all the high elf gear equipped, leveling in Elwyn felt like a breeze. We hit level 14 in absolutely no time. But I needed a break from grinding all of these quests. So I grabbed another profession that I knew we would need later on. Fishing. Not only could it bring in some gold down the line, but we definitely need the food for all these quests that we're going to be grinding in the future. While we cooked up all the fish, we contemplated our next move. We knew the slow and steady modifier was going to force me to branch out and explore multiple zones to keep the XP bar moving. So we headed to Dunmore for some quieter leveling and some extra silver to fund my bags. More so, I think I was just avoiding Westfall. But it was a chill experience, except for the numerous deaths that I ended up racking up. And that's why I'm not sure if I could ever roll with the hardcore character. But finally, we got back to Stormwind, and I got some bags. I mean, they're not the greatest bags, but they'll do us some good. After we got them, I again stopped to fish and regain my food stocks, or at least that's what I told myself. But finally, I did step into Westfall, and my goal was clear: prepare for dead mines. But I quickly realized that Westfall wasn't going to cut it, and tanks don't just jump into a dungeon underleveled. Well, at least not if they don't want their group to scream at them the whole time. At level 17, with all the quests running low in Westfall, Darkshore offered a refreshing change of pace. Being overgeared and overleveled for the quests that were offered, we grabbed a couple more levels here quite easily, and we headed back to Westfall. As I was collecting up the Deadmine dungeon quest lines for that sweet XP burst after, one painful reality hit me. Walking everywhere sucks. Thankfully, the Darkmoon Fair was in Goldshire, and I was level 19, just in time for the Turtle Mount quest. The plan was simple: run to Stormwind, catch the boat to Darkshore, trek to Zoram Strand for the Turtle Egg, swing by Ashtanar for the flight path, fly back to Darkshore and sail home. Easy quest, 15 minutes in and out, right? It took me a second to understand and realize that I forgot my Darkshore flight path. So, with my Hearthstone on cooldown, I had to take one more long, agonizing walk back to Darkshore. And as I arrived back in Darkshore, I was just about killed by the Crusade who was storming in here. It was a bunch of role players, and it was actually quite entertaining to watch. The Turtle WoW server is a roleplay server, but you don't get to see it very often, and when you do, it is quite interesting to watch.
Sorry.
Crusade here.
We're on our way to Desolus.
Quite the walk.
Lord Hart said this was the best route.
Lord Hart.
Ambassador.
I'm not even really sure what they were talking about or what was going on, but I was too excited anyway. I was heading back to get my mount, and there I also got level 20. Which means we got our turtle mount, and we also got our second slow and steady box. So our second box wasn't really too much more excitement. Some fashion tokens, a torch, and we got a little pet, a black piglet. So with everything checked off our list, it was time for Dead Mines, the milestone I've been working towards. And finding a group was pretty easy as a tank. Before long, we stood at the entrance and we were ready to dive in. At first the run was perfect. I held aggro, the DPS did consistent damage, and our healer kept everyone topped off. Then as the universe decided we were having way too much fun and things fell apart. Mistimed pulls, miscommunications, you name it. By the end, we were barely holding it together. After 2 wipes and some sheer stubbornness, Van Cleef fell. It wasn't pretty, but it was done. All in all, this grind took about 24 hours. By now, some speedrunners would already be at level 60, raiding Molten Core, but that's not our journey. This is about exploring, tackling challenges, and experiencing all the amazing custom content the Turtle WoW devs have created. And I can't wait to see what's next in store for this warrior. Got a wild Turtle WoW roleplay story? Drop it in the comments below. And if you want to level together, hit me up in game, and we'll see you next time in the slow lane.